Hey everybody. I think we're back live again. I think everything is cool. Hopefully, everybody can see the live stream. I'll just playing a bit of a track that I'm in production at the moment. I started the idea yesterday, and I've just been kind of working through it a little bit. It's kind of very rough arrangement at the moment. Yeah, I haven't really just kind of finding my way around it really. Just trying to add some bits. I think there's some vocals missing from it or something. I don't know. But I'm not actually going to be working on that today. I'm giving that a rest for now because I've been working on that for the last. Well, I worked on it for a good few hours yesterday, and I kind of want to give it a little bit of time, a little bit of yeah, just a little bit of time away from that idea. I don't like to spend too long on ideas, otherwise I start to get really annoyed by them uh, when um, when it's not working out, or I try to kind of spend too much time on it, because it's just if you spend too much time on an idea, I just get bored of it and I get fed up with it. Even if it's a really good idea, I kind of get fed up with it. So yeah, I'm not going to work on that one today. But yeah, so today I thought I'd. It's kind of like the last live stream I did. So if anybody's tuned for the last live stream I did, it's just basically me in the studio coming up with some ideas. Um, I kind of thought it'd be kind of cool to do these live streams just so you can see it live from the studio and there's no editing or anything else like that. It's just me coming up with ideas and playing around. So I'll be kind of explaining some stuff as I go, kind of playing around. And yeah, if you got any questions or anything, drop them in the live chat. I've got the live chat up and running. We had some problems last time with the live stream because somehow within my live streaming software, I got it to automatically cut off after an hour worth of stream. So it cut off twice in the last stream, which was really annoying. But it's all fixed now and we're all sorted. So yeah, so this live stream, yeah, I say it's hopefully it should work. It should go uninterrupted. And I think the last stream was about 2 hours long, so I'll probably do about that, maybe a bit longer, a bit less. I don't know. See what you guys are thinking. But if you've got any questions, drop them into the live chat, and I'll kind of have a look at them every now and again and just kind of see them. But yeah, I'm just going to go through and make some ideas today. Just a little bit of paperwork, kind of few little things I wanted to go through. First off, I want to say a big thank you to all the new subscribers. There's a whole load more subscribers that have been finding my channel and subscribing, especially with the latest video that I did on template. So if you haven't seen it already, I've done a brand new video on my channel, which is actually it's all about how I made this kind of template. So whenever I start Ableton up now, I've now got a template. And believe it or not, this is something that I haven't done before. I've never had a template. I've never worked from a template before. It's taken me 8-9 years worth of producing in Ableton before I've actually started working with a template. Sounds bizarre, doesn't it? But I kind of was really kind of against using a template because I thought it would make me less creative. I thought if I was kind of using the same thing every single time, then yeah, I thought it would make me not very creative. So that's kind of why I was kind of steering away from it. But in the new video that's just gone up on my channel, I kind of talked through exactly how I came up with that template, why I came up with it now, and kind of how I've been using it and stuff. So yeah, definitely check that out. I can see what we got. We got Thomas on the live stream. We got Harmony as well. Sorry, I've got my phone over here that's kind of showing me the live chat because last time it was really annoying trying to flick between Ableton and everything, and now I think I need glasses to try and read all off the screen. But yeah, hopefully you're all good. Marius, hi, how you doing? First question come in. So Marius asked about the new Genesis Pro. Weirdly enough, it's been showing in my YouTube. Videos recommendations. If anybody hasn't heard about it, the new Genesis Pro is this new synth that has been launched by. I'm not even quite sure. I can't remember who the producer is that is launching this new synth. Supposedly, he's launching it for $1 or something. Excuse my ignorance on this because it's kind of hard when you're in the production world keeping up with every single genre and who's making what. I can't remember what it was now. I've actually got to Google this because I can't remember now. I'm sure I had it when I was looking through. It's the Genesis Pro. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, this went so viral. I couldn't believe just how viral this went. Yeah, the Genesis Pro. Let's have a look. Is this the first look? I can't remember. It's gone so viral, this video, like when everybody's been talking about it. If anybody's kind of watched any of my stuff before, you'll know that I don't really use soft synths all that much, so it doesn't really kind of impact me. I'm probably going to give it a go because it looks like a kind of cool synth. In fact, this is such a glossy video. I don't think there's actually too much content in there. Yeah, so this is kind of this is the new synth. If you haven't seen it, Genesis Pro. I'm not even sure if it's been launched yet. Has it been launched yet? But it's $1. He's launching it for $1, which is pretty incredible. Um, so yeah, you might as well grab it for $1. If you're missing a synth, you might as well go for it. I don't think he's launched it yet, but I know yeah, there's been a whole load of talk about that, and yeah, I probably will be checking out on my channel and playing around with it and see what I can come up with it and see if I can play around with it. But to be honest, I'm not super excited by it. I mean, there's new synths launched every single day, and there's they have all these fantastic features in, like Massive X came out, and to be honest, I'm still using the old version of Massive, and I don't really use it all that much. So yeah, I'm not overly excited. I think if you have a more technical producer, maybe. I'm not saying that I'm not technical, but like I suppose I'm more sample based, so I kind of don't use synths as much. So it doesn't really bother me all that much. I'm probably not going to be in a hurry to check it out. I will do at some point. I'm more excited when new plugins come along, like audio effects and MIDI effects and things like that. That's what really kind of excites me, kind of playing around with those. And I've got a few that I've got on my list that I'm going to be testing out and playing around with. So I will kind of get into those. So so yeah, so that's what. So yeah, the Genesis Pro. Yeah, I probably will give that a go when it comes out and have a play around with that. So so today let's jump into it, and yeah, I think today I'm just going to make a few more ideas. That's kind of what I want to do. Is I want to make a couple more, two or three maybe more ideas. I've kind of got a folder that I've been working off, so I'm kind of got a I've kind of got a 2020 ideas folder. I've got 3 ideas in there at the moment. Ideally, what I want to do is I want to build this folder up of ideas, and then I am going to then start building out the tracks, because I want to have about 10 ideas in this folder before I start arranging anything, because it's like when you see an artist preparing their album, they kind of record a whole load of songs, like more songs than needed for the album, and then they kind of choose which ones they want to go with. And I'm kind of like that with my ideas. I kind of want to get a whole load of ideas and then kind of pick the best ones and then arrange those out, because I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I come up with ideas so quickly, and so many of them, they're just littering my hard drive. So I kind of yeah, that's the whole point. So I want to come up with loads of ideas and then just pick the best ones and arrange those, because there's no point in spending a whole load of time on an idea that's just not working. So, and plus, I love coming up with ideas. Don't you just find that that's the best part? I really just love coming up with the ideas. So yeah, I'm gonna head into that. I'm just gonna check the chat just for a second, and see if there's any more questions before we start. De-influence. Could you try to make a track in about 10 or 30 minutes if possible? Well, I mean, these ideas are. I don't think it's possible to come up with a whole track in 30 minutes. Sure, you can come up with the ideas for a track in 30 minutes, but a full track will take you as long as it's going to take you, and it's always that last 20% that takes the time. Sure, I can come up with an idea and kind of go through it really quickly and then arrange it out very quickly, but to be honest, it's going to take me a load of time refining that before it's really done. So certainly coming up with the idea I can do. I'll come up with an idea in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and whatever. On these live streams, it does take a little bit longer, because I'm kind of explaining to you as I kind of go along. So I'm kind of going through and I'm explaining, what I'm doing with each individual channel and everything else like that. So it does take a little bit longer. But yeah, why don't we try that in this live stream? I'll try doing an idea really, really quickly. So let's go for it. I'm going to get into this idea now, and let's just having a play around. And actually, I'm finding it a little bit. I've got the AS1, the Pioneer Torres AS1 sitting here, and I think in the live stream last time, somebody asked me about what hardware synths that I use, and I've got this just sitting here, and most of the time I've got it turned off because I look at it every now and again and have a play around with it, but I never kind of really use it in a massive extent. I should really, because it's an amazing synth, but I never really kind of get into it. So that's why I want to try and start with today. I want to kind of start playing around with that and having a go with that. And I'm also going to use the Squid, the Torres Squid, which is actually my main controller now. This is actually my main MIDI controller over a keyboard. I tend to use this a lot more now. I love the pads. The pads are so awesome. And also some of the ideas you can get from it are really cool as well. But today I think I just want to use this to drive that. I want to kind of really kind of play around with the AS1 and see what I can get out of it. I know there's already a preset in there that I love that I've kind of played around with before, so I'm going to reach into that and have a go with that. I don't actually have a camera set up on the AS1 itself, but there's very limited controls on there. There's not really much you're going to see on there. The whole idea is I'm going to try and find a preset within here, probably work from that and record it into audio as soon as I can within here, really. So I'll kind of get some MIDI notes going and then go from there. I think that's probably going to be the easiest way of working, at least until I get the plugin sorted. There is a plugin for this. I just haven't got it kind of up and running yet. So yeah, let's start off with this. I'm gonna kick into this and start going with this. So so let's reach over to here. I want to make sure actually let's get it set up because nothing's actually set up on here. Let me minimize a few of these channels. So this is my, as I say, this is my template. This is the one that I've started using now. All my drums, my kick, my tops, crash cymbal. I've got a keys track and a bass track all waiting here for me. So I'm going to start with the bass. Let's go for the bass. If you want to see this template, as I say, it's the new video on my channel. Went live on Thursday last week. So if you want to kind of see more about this, then go to there. Obviously after this live stream. And let's get the AS1 in there. So I'm going to use the external instrument for this. MIDI output. So I want to output to the AS1. I've actually got the AS1 set up on channel 2, MIDI channel 2, weirdly enough, mainly because I was using it with my live setup. So I was kind of developing a live setup where I'm using the Pioneer DJS 1000 in the center, and then I was also using the AS1 and my Yamaha keyboard as well. This I set up to MIDI channel 2, so it's still set on that. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of use it on that rather than kind of go in there and reset it. Doesn't really matter for this video. I don't know why I'm going just waffling on about that. So let's see. Let's get the MIDI up here. Oh, output. Let's get some output. So the output is coming in through 7 and 8. So I have an RME Fireface 400 sound card. It's actually kind of mounted underneath my desk, so you won't be able to see it. But essentially, it's got a whole load of ins and outs. Loads. 18 ins, 18 ins and 18 outs, just loads. So I've kind of got this hooked up where I've got the AS1 in there. That's a really weird patch. Let's have a look through. Trying to find the patch that I found earlier. Oh, there we go. Heavy Stomper. Oh, let's turn it up. So cool. It's a mono synth, and it's got an amazing sound to it. So I think I'm going to use this, but I was playing around with it earlier, and you've got that attack on the note. But when the glide is just amazing. It's so nice and soft. Might do something with that. In fact, I'm going to change the key because I think I liked it in C better. What's going on here? Oh, I've changed it. Oh, Love that sound. It's so, so nice. So yeah, I'm going to get something recorded in here, I think, but I'm going to need a beat of some sort. So I've got my kick here. Let's just get a kick in. I could do this with a metronome, but to be honest, I prefer it with a kick. Actually, I added a whole load of kicks the other day. Where is it? The splice. So, what was it? Ordered by, if I remember, yeah. So Toolroom released a brand new sample pack on Splice called Raw Drums. And I was going through there and some really nice stuff. I mean, with these packs, you kind of have the same things released over and over again. So, like when it comes to the 909s, the 808s, the classic kind of Roland drums, loads of sample packs kind of release them and have those. But each one kind of hopefully gives you something a bit different. And these ones, these raw drums from Toolroom, got really kind of dusty, kind of raw, analog kind of feel to them. It's hard to describe. Yeah, I love that one. Let's get that in there. What we going? Feels quite slow. Yeah, that'll do. Let's have a go and record something in. So I'm just going to play around. In fact, I might even use the capture thing. If you haven't seen the capture feature of Ableton, it's awesome. It kind of came in Ableton 10, and basically when you're playing something along, even though you're not recording it, you can hit that capture button and it will then put it into the stuff that you were just playing that you weren't recording. It will put it into a MIDI clip. So it actually is kind of recording in the background somehow, which is really weird, but kind of cool, and it works well. So let's try this. Actually, I'm going to take the cutoff up a little bit because you can't really hear it at the moment. That was kind of cool. I like that idea. Oh yeah, I kind of like that idea. There's something in there that's quite cool. Let's cut this up. I think it's somewhere in here. I'm going to change that cutoff in a minute, but I just wanted to raise that cutoff so I can kind of hear it. There we go. Let's join this into a clip. So I'm going to consolidate this into a clip. Oh, I've just lost that note. Damn note there. Right, consolidate it. So that's kind of got a cool little vibe going on there. I really kind of like that. But as you can see, my playing is bad. Look at those kind of velocities. That one's not even there at all. I raise all these velocities all the way to the top. And let's loop this up as well. I'm going to start playing around with it in a second. And I'm going to overlap these notes so they got that kind of glide happening as well. Let's try moving these notes as well. They're off the grid slightly, but sometimes that's kind of nice. Kind of ends a bit weirdly there. I don't know if you can hear that on the live stream. You're probably going to have some decent speakers or headphones on to be able to hear that. But really, I've kind of taken the cutoff right down, so we've just got the kind of sub bass from that analog synth, and it sounds really, really nice. So that kind of, it's just that kind of growl that comes from it almost. I've taken the cutoff right down because it's a little bit too kind of, yeah, a bit too raw otherwise. Just kind of tweaking the cutoff and the resonance on the AS1, kind of playing around with that. That's sounding better, I think. So, yeah, it's kind of giving me a rough kind of bass to work with. I've got the scale plugin here on C minor, so it's always going to keep those notes within C minor. By the way, I don't know where I'm going with this idea, to be honest. I'm just playing around, and that's kind of half the thing that I do within the studio, so I just play around with these ideas and stuff. So, yeah, so we've got a kind of groovy kind of bass line in there. I think next I'll get some drums in there, but first off, I just want to jump into the chat and see what's going on within here. So what we got within here? Oh, let me just scroll up a bit. Let's have a look. Sorry, I'm just going through the chat trying to find. So Thomas asked, do I play basses? Do I play like instruments like basses, or do I use the piano roll? So it kind of almost hit myself in the face with my microphone then. So yeah, sometimes I will use a MIDI controller, and in which case I do love the Squid. I've also got a MIDI keyboard that I sometimes use, and if I kind of want to, sometimes if I want to play around with chords, I will use a MIDI keyboard because sometimes that's just easier. But the more and more I use it, the more and more I really like this. It's Torres, isn't it? Yeah, the Torres Squid, the Pioneer Torres Squid. Just because it's a really kind of cool MIDI controller, and it's just vastly underrated, I think. So I just love it. I think it's really cool. But most of the time, yeah, I will actually just be in the piano roll, because as much as I kind of love having external equipment and like the synths and the controllers and all that kind of stuff, I almost just find it so much quicker, like pointing and clicking and stuff. I think it's because I come from a computer background, and I don't really play instruments, so I don't know how to really play any instruments. I'm kind of I kind of played a bit of drums, and I kind of know some chords on the keyboard, and I kind of know some basic stuff that I've kind of picked up on the way, just as you do, you kind of just pick up certain scales or chords and stuff like that. But if you threw me into playing in a live band, I'd just fail miserably because I just can't do that. So yeah, I think sometimes I just find it easier pointing and clicking on the screen and kind of making notes and stuff. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. And if you can come up with the same kind of result, doing it on the piano roll, then I think, what's the problem with that? It's, yeah. So yeah, I do kind of use the piano roll quite a bit. What else we got? Little Pete says 10 out of 10 for the Udemy course. Thank you. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, I have a course on Udemy. The link is in the description down below underneath this video. I launched the course in December, and we've had, I think it's 250, or even it might even be about 300 students through the course already, and the reviews and the kind of feedback and everything has just been amazing. It's been so cool. The course, if you haven't seen it, is all about making DJ edits, remixes, bootlegs, mashups, and things like that. I really took my time to try and make it as best as I can make it, and it's kind of the way that I learned how to produce, like making edits for my set. So definitely check that out if you want to see more, if you like the way I kind of teach stuff. As I say, link is down in the description below. Pete said on here, you're recommending it to other people. Thank you Thank you. Honestly, that's one of the greatest things I can actually hear is the fact that somebody who's taken the course is then recommending it to other people. So I really thank you very much, Pete. I honestly really appreciate that. Um, so Harmony Smurf says, I don't have a hardware synth yet. I've been recommended the Behringer Neutron, but I'm intimidated by patch sockets. You know what? I'm not even 100% sure I know what patch sockets are, so I couldn't even suggest anything for you. When it comes to, I tell you what, when it comes to anything music production, not just synths or anything else like that, I've never really kind of learnt the proper way of doing it. I kind of go in with the kind of let's play around with it and see what we can make out of it. So I kind of just like pick up a synth and start twiddling knobs until I kind of have something that I like out of it. And now this has kind of led to some other things. Like, for example, I bought the Roland TR8S. It's an amazing drum machine. It features all of the Roland 909, 808, and all their other amazing classic kits. But I didn't get on with it that well because, again, I found it just so much easier doing it on the screen. And what I was trying to do in that drum machine was taking me an hour or maybe 2 hours to kind of come up with the same thing that I would do within Ableton. So for me, even though it was kind of fun and it was a lovely little toy to kind of play around with, and I honestly saying toy, I don't mean to belittle it or anything else like that. It's an amazing drum machine, and some people use it and they get some amazing results out of it. But for me, it was a toy because I bought it and I wasn't really using it all that much. It was just something to kind of play around with now and again, and I just wasn't getting enough out of it. It just didn't really kind of feel for me. And I think when it comes to hardware synths or anything that you buy for the studio, people can advise you on what to get, but you're not going to know what's going to work for you until you actually get it or you actually try it out yourself. If you can try it out yourself, then definitely I recommend doing that. If you can get to a music show of some sort, wherever you live, if there's a national music show where they're kind of demoing the units, definitely get along to that, because that is the most useful thing you'll do with your time, because you can go along there, you can play around with all the hardware synths and see what works for you, and within 5 minutes you'll know whether that's something that you really like or you don't like, because even though you won't know how to use it, you'll instantly know whether it's kind of intuitive to use or not intuitive to use. So there is an element of obviously of learning these things, but you'll get an instant kind of instinct whether you like it or not. So I definitely recommend, if you can try these things out, try them before you buy. If not, you can buy and then just sell on eBay or something like that. You have to try these things out to see if they work for you. For me, it doesn't always work, and that's why I've got a very stripped back kind of studio. I have the AS1. I have the Electron Analog Heat, which is my saturator, which I would not be without. I absolutely love it. And then I've got the Squid. That's about it. That's about all I have in my studio equipment-wise. So, yeah, you have to kind of play around with these things and see what you come up with. Sorry, I'm scrolling up on this chat. So Marius asked, if I use one sample in my music, can I upload to YouTube or somewhere? Depending on the sample, it really depends on the sample that you're using. So I assume you're talking about having sampling a record of some sort, a commercial release or anything else like that. It really depends on how much of that sample and whether the systems recognize it. If it's part of a commercial track and it's signed to a major record label like Sony or Warner, I think that's actually the same thing now. But if that track is out on a major record label, then they have these automatic systems in place, so that if it detects a certain sample or a certain portion of the music, then it will put a copyright strike up against it or take it down or whatever. But that doesn't mean that you can't sample stuff and put it online. You just have to be a bit more clever with it, and maybe pick stuff that isn't common, that isn't everybody's using and stuff. And that's kind of what dance music has always been about. It's about finding samples that nobody else is using and kind of using those in interesting ways. One of my idols, one of my absolute gods is Norman Cook, Fatboy Slim, who has an amazing talent for finding these samples in random places and putting them into a track that you would never thought was possible. So yeah, it's all about kind of finding those samples that nobody else is using, and maybe on small labels in the back of an old dusty record shop or whatever. You know, it's finding those things that probably won't be tagged. So yes, while you could put a sample into a track and put it online, but the more kind of recognizable, the more current it is, the more kind of major label it's on, the more likely it's going to get hit with a copyright strike. So yeah, I'd just be careful with that. So that's enough questions for now. Let's get into some more producing, because actually, how many people? We've got 8 viewers on here. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. I kind of do these streams without any kind of expectation or anything else like that. If anybody likes them, and you know, it's all good. So let's get into this. I've got a bass line going here. I've got the I have got a kick within there as well. Let's get some drums in there. Today, I think I'm going to reach into the 909. So I actually use the classic 909 kit within Ableton, just because, well, it actually sounds pretty good, to be honest. So I'm just actually going to use this, I think. Create a new MIDI clip within here. And let's go for, get a really basic pattern for now. Actually loop this up. The only problem is with this is every time I come to it, I want to kind of really kind of shorten these claps and the hats and stuff like that, because they're really long. Let's get a closed hat in there as well. Just kind of putting these in a bit random. It's kind of how I do most of my production. Just random stuff. And let's get a swing in there as well, because it's going to sound terrible straight off. MPC swings are just awesome within there. Tell you what, that was just pure luck, but that sounds pretty good. In fact, I don't know if I like it pitched down like that. I'm going to keep it in as normal. By the way, I'm just using the keyboard to kind of turn the pitch to control these knobs under the macro knobs under here. So whilst you can kind of use your mouse to kind of lower it and higher it, I tend to use the up and down keys on my keyboard just because it's just a lot easier. Sometimes it's really hard. I don't know about you, but like it's really hard to kind of get that exact figure that you want by using the mouse. It's a pain. It's a real pain. It's one of those, it's actually, I've kind of even thought about going for the Ableton Push because I really kind of like the controls and that. It looks kind of good, the Ableton Push too. But as I talked about in my last live stream, I just can't see myself using it all that much. And it seems a bit silly just to get it for that reason. So, yeah. So I'll just keep with the keyboard for now. So got that within there. I'm going to actually, I might put another... I might start building the drums up with some more loops, actually. like that hat. That hat works quite nicely. Take that down in volume as well. That clap is really quiet. Did I take that down in volume? In fact, not liking that close hat at all. Yeah, that works a little bit better. Sometimes I try making my beats from scratch with individual one shots, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and so that's why I tend to use tops loops quite a bit. If you don't know what tops loops are, they're basically the hi-hats, claps, and kind of that percussion that falls within the top half of the kind of frequencies. So they're kind of lighter kind of percussion, and by using those top loops, I kind of build up my drums that way. Really like I think it's a clap or a snare within that works really nicely. When it comes to previewing the loops over the top of what I'm playing, I like to have the top loops, the preview playing a little bit higher in volume than the actual track is, because that way I can actually hear what it's doing, rather than actually, it's not going to be the actual volume that I'm going to have it in the track afterwards. But it's kind of, I need to be able to hear the difference when I'm kind of going between the different loops. And also when I'm listening to top loops, I'm not listening to the whole loop like I want to use the whole loop. I'm usually listening to one single part. Like with this, it was the clap or the snare or something that kind of stuck out. So it's a real kind of garagey kind of loop, that, and all I want is that kind of snare clap. I think it's just a snare actually. And that can kind of build with the clap that I've already got in there. I'm using the volume shaper here, so I can just use cutting up the loop, just taking that loop length down, and then I'm just using this single snare here. So I'm using this kind of volume envelope to just isolate that individual snare, rather than having all this other stuff in there. So if I got rid of it. That's kind of how I do most of my stuff. If you're wondering about these top loops that I'm going through here, these are basically a whole load of top loops that I've got either from my sample collection on my hard drive or that I've downloaded from Splice. So I tend to put them all within this collections. Every time I get some new tops loops that I like, and I end up just going through here really quite randomly just to pick them. I really quite like that little snare thing that's going on within there. Yeah, I'm going to use that. So again, I'm going to isolate this as well. So it's just there at the end. So again, you can use the volume envelope for this. I can see the snare is there. Don't want the clap in there. And I want that as well. You get used to looking at waveforms as to what to look for. Take that down in volume. Still quite straight at the moment. I think it needs some kind of, needs something that's kind of tech housey almost. That's got a shake or a... No, something within that. Tell you what, that loop I might even just use on its own. Actually, no. I don't know. Something within there's not right. Something within there just works. I don't know what it is. Can't describe it. I think that's enough for drums at the moment. I'm getting a bit bored. See, this is the thing. Like when I'm working through ideas and stuff like this, I kind of get to this stage where I'm a bit bored and I want to kind of move on to something else. So I might just ditch the drums there and actually just put some vocal in it of some sort, or maybe a synth or keys or something. It just feels a bit static, doesn't it? There's something not quite working with that. Is it the snare? Actually, it is a snare. I'm going to get rid of the snare. Let's get some keys in there. Let's do something. Yeah, let's get some keys. I am going to reach into, since I have, let's go to the Velvet. I love Velvet. If you haven't seen Velvet yet, the link in the description below, and it's a Rhodes keyboard piano thing that I use all the time. Oh, it's still on the bass. And I'm gonna load, let's load in a nice chord. So where are my chords? So I will soon be giving out a pack. So a pack of chords and a few little instruments and effects. So I kind of mentioned this before. I think it was in possibly the January tips. But I was planning to, I'm going to launch a pack full of, well, I say full, it's got a whole load of chords within there. So within this pack, we've got all my kind of minor chords that I use all the time, and then also 3 kind of cool plugins, I guess you could call them that. one that kind of adds a whole load of dirt to stuff, a chord device that kind of has all my chords built in and a whole load of interesting stuff in it, and then also a multi-filter, so something that's got a low pass and a high pass filter within it. I'm going to be doing a video on it now, I'm going to be doing a video on it very soon, so that's why I'm kind of not talking about it so much in the live stream, but that is coming very, very soon. And if you want to kind of know more about that and you want to get hold of that, I'm going to be doing it through my brand new Patreon page. So I've just launched a new Patreon page. So if you want to back me, if you like the stuff that I'm doing and you want to help support the channel and the content that I'm providing, then definitely head over to my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. So if you want to show your support for that, and also there's a whole load of different tiers within there. So there's a tier if you just want to show your appreciation. There's going to be a secondary tier where we're going to be doing live stream Q&As. So we'll do a private Q&A where only my Patreon supporters are going to be in this live stream Q&A, and you'll be able to ask me whatever questions you want to. If you want to know how to do something, then I'll show you how to do it on that live stream then and there. There's going to be a whole load of stuff going on there, and the whole idea of this kind of Patreon community as such is that it's going to be locked off just to you Patreon supporters, so that you can ask what you want. And it's obviously, yeah, it's going to be launching really, really soon. And then finally, there's going to be a top tier where you're going to get all of my presets, my templates, plugins, and all that kind of stuff that I make and that I kind of demo and that I use within my tracks. You'll be able to download all of those within there. So that's coming really, really soon. If you want to check out my Patreon page, it's down in the description below. So yeah, if you want to check that out. I'm just going to look at the chat, actually, just making sure. So what have we got? So Little Pete, he's an old school garage head. Are there any specific UK garage sample packs that you can recommend? Actually, I'll show you exactly which one I use all the time. One that I've gone to quite a few times, actually, and I think somebody did suggest it. So it's Clement. Yeah, Clement Sparks suggested Sample Magic 90s Deep House and Garage. Yes, I use that quite a bit. This one, let me find it where it is. Oh, so this is an SM. So there's a Sample Magic UK Garage pack, and there's also the Sample Magic 90s Deep House and Garage pack. Both of them are really, really good. Both on Splice, I think, I'm sure. Go to UK Garage. Sure, it's within these packs up here. Oh, I can filter by. Actually, I can filter by. Sorry, I can filter by people who make it. I think, can't you? On here, or perhaps not. I always forget every time I come to use this site as to how to actually use it. You can filter it by people who make them, can't you? Or not. Oh, I'm going to Sample Magic. Yes, so Sample Magic. I love Sample Magic samples. They are just amazing. But yeah, the UK Garage pack from them and the 90s Deep House and Garage pack, both of those are really, really good. I know I've talked to the Sample Magic guys quite a bit, and there may be a sample pack on the way from me. I have been working on it. It's working its way out. We've been working on it for a good number of months, and that should be working its way out really soon. But they're great guys, and honestly, their catalog is just amazing. If you are looking for some quality sounds, they are definitely the place to go. But definitely hit up Splice. I mean, I can't recommend Splice highly enough if you're trying to find samples for stuff. Just because you can just download the samples that you want to. There's a link in the description below. If you click on that link, I think you get extra samples when you sign up. I certainly get some extra samples, and I appreciate it as well. I think there's a few people that have used my sign up link. It doesn't cost you anything more. I don't get a kickback. The only thing I get is a few more samples into my a few more credits into my account, which is really cool, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, I love Splice. I think it's a great service. I love using it, and that's kind of where I go to get most of my samples. So like when I'm going through these top loops within here, most of these are from Splice. Most of these I've got from Splice. They got a really cool groove to some of these samples, and I absolutely love them. Actually, let me just. I think there's another question come in. So, Nuno, is that how you pronounce your name? Nuno asked, do you use the Toraz Squid often in the songwriting process? Do you combine it with Ableton Live? Can you share your workflow? Well, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of using it within this project that we're playing around with now. Anyway, for the most part, I kind of use it. Let me just move this around a bit so you can see a little bit better. In fact, I think I can zoom in. Let me zoom. Yeah, there we go. Modern technology, isn't that great? So yeah, the Squid, to be honest, I tend to use it mostly for the pads. The pads I find really kind of soft, and they work really nicely. So they work really cool. But there's this harmonizer section down the bottom here, which if you hold one of these, it will play a chord with one of those. And you can choose which one you want. So it's really kind of cool to play around with that kind of stuff. I said that the chords that are built in are quite cool. So if you hold down Shift and press one of those, yeah, so you can set the chord within here. You might not be able to see this. The camera above isn't the highest quality, so might not be able to see this. I'm actually working on getting a better camera for the top down. But yeah, within here you can actually select which chord you want, and there's a whole load of really great ones built in. So like the minor ninths, I use all the time. So when you're using Rhodes, it's just amazing. So yeah, I use the harmonizer quite a bit to kind of build chords up, and also I haven't really kind of used the pattern on here. So you can actually like start building up the pattern within here, and then as you can see, I don't know if you can see within there, you can see that the pad's lighting up. So it's got its own sequencer within there. And what you can do is you can actually change the direction. So you can actually kind of step sequence. So you can step sequence in notes within there, but then you can also change the direction as well, which is fantastic. It's really cool for coming up with different ideas. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of really cool for kind of coming up with ideas. It's especially when you're just kind of playing around with different melodies. I use it as an idea trigger more than anything, and it is really easy to set up with the computer. I mean, in the bottom here, actually, I'm not going to lift it up there because I don't think I've got much room on the lead, but it's basically just plugged in with USB. So you got the USB straight into your computer, and then you just set it up on USB channel 1. Yeah, I mean, Live sees it straight away, so I've got Live set up. Where is it? Yeah, so you can see the Toraz Squid is showing up within here, just as a normal MIDI controller. You can also sync it as well, so it will sync in time. I haven't quite got it working. I still struggle a bit with kind of getting like MIDI instruments like this set up within Ableton. I think I need to look at it a bit more, because generally I just use it to kind of just slam in notes. Basically, that's kind of how I use it. I use it in a kind of very performing kind of way, just to kind of play around with it, rather than necessarily using all the kind of sequencing stuff. But I did a video a little while back on the Squid, if you want to see it on my channel, where I basically took all of my hardware instruments and kind of drove them all from the Squid. So it's kind of nice to step away from the computer every now and again to kind of see what you can do. So that's kind of what this is really made for. But to be honest, I think it's kind of being missold in the fact that they could be shouting more about it being used with your computer with a DAW of some sort, because I'd say that it's a great MIDI controller that you can come up with some great ideas. So yeah, I definitely recommend, if you can try it out, definitely try it out. Choco said, would you mind telling me which theme you're using? So yeah, I tell you what, I get a question every single video, every single stream, everything else like that, where I get what my theme is. So the theme is called Bitwig-ish. It's called Bitwigish. Basically, it's a theme that I made. In fact, I might even actually just do a video on it and have a play around with it. But yeah, I love the look of Bitwig, and I actually made it on Ableton Themes. So if you haven't checked it out yet, abletonthemes.com. It's a website that I launched a while ago. In fact, I can't even remember when I launched it. It was a good, what, 6 months ago, maybe? If anybody can remember, anybody's on the live stream who can remember when I launched it. We now have, wow, almost 5,000 themes on there. I check in every now and again just to see how this is going, but anybody can sign up here for free and you can start creating your own themes on here. Recently we added a way to be able to browse them a little bit easier. So usually when you can go through the browse page, it orders it by latest, but you can now actually order it by a different color. So if you wanted to look for all pink themes, for example, you could go in there. Looks like my internet's a bit slow, I think probably because of the stream. Yeah, so you can look through all pink themes. You can look for all dark themes, for example, if you wanted to. So it goes through and looks for all themes that are kind of a darker kind of appearance. And yeah, you can go through here and you can download them for free. There's just so many on there. I'm looking at like adding more and more features to the website. It's just trying to find time with everything else I do, with the YouTube channel, with producing and everything else like that, the courses and all that kind of stuff. It's finding a bit hard to kind of get enough time to be able to do this kind of stuff. But so yeah, check out the website, see what you think. And yeah, have a go with using it. I mean, if you're on about tracks, so tracks that you are putting out, then I would still say probably SoundCloud. As much as I'd hate to say that, SoundCloud's probably your best option. The reason I say I hate to say that is because if you have anything with any kind of sample on there, then it will usually you'll get a copyright strike from it. So it becomes increasingly hard to add just about any track on there. And to be honest, I've had a whole load of my tracks taken down from there that were actually properly signed to a record label, and the record labels pulled them down from my SoundCloud. And also I've had my SoundCloud downloads disabled because some reason, I'm not quite sure. It's not a copyright strike. I don't actually have any copyright strikes on my profile at the moment, but for some reason my downloads have been disabled, which is really annoying. But yeah, to answer your question, SoundCloud is probably the best place to put your tracks online. If they do contain samples and things like that, and you still want to be able to kind of put them up for people to listen to, then maybe consider putting them on YouTube. Maybe it doesn't sound right, does it? Putting them on YouTube, putting tracks on YouTube, but the copyright system, they handle copyright system. It's just a lot better on YouTube. They don't take stuff down as quick. They'll monetize the video that you put up there, so you'll see ads on it, and you won't get any ad money for it. But generally, they don't really take videos down that often. So definitely try YouTube. And yeah, and just go through it with that, really. Especially if you want to kind of distribute something with samples in, bootlegs, edits, and things like that, definitely go for YouTube. I wouldn't even bother with SoundCloud. The amount of times you get something taken down, it's just not worth it. Any other questions coming? I think that's it for questions at the moment. So let's head back into Ableton. Let me just adjust the mic a little bit. By the way, is everything kind of working all right? The stream's working okay? It's been over an hour now, is it? Yeah, been over an hour now, and it hasn't shut off. Around this time last time, it just shut off for no reason, and I was left feeling quite weird that it just shut off. But yeah, looks like it's been fixed. So let's get into it. So what we got within here? We got the drums. Oh, keys. That's what we were doing. We were doing keys. So let's jump into the keys. Let's open up the plugins. And I have the MIDI. I've got my squid here. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a chord on there. So let's go into my user library. I've got a whole load of chords within here. And when I'm using Rhodes and things like that, I tend to use minor ninths, minor 11ths. I've got this one patch called minor ninth magic. I've called it magic because I'm not actually sure what chord it is. It's some kind of inversion of some sort, but it just sounds good. How nice does that sound? I say this is how I come up with ideas. That the track that I first played at the start of this stream, which if you missed it, obviously you'll be able to watch this stream back again a bit later. But that one was really just jamming out on the keyboard and seeing what I can come up with. Let's have a look. Let's put the swing on that actually. Well, because I'm using this kind of chord device, it also kind of it just increases the volume anyway, obviously because you're holding down more and more keys. Okay, so I think we might have dropped out the stream for a bit. There's really bad weather here in the UK at the moment. We've got some kind of storm hitting, so I don't know whoever's on chat in the UK probably will be able to know. We've got massive storms at the moment. I think it's just kind of cutting my internet connection every now and again. So yeah, hopefully it's back. It definitely didn't stop this time. Like last time, the stream was stopping. It just stopped dead for no reason. And then I realized there was some kind of timer built into the streaming software. But this was literally to do with the low connection. As I say, I think it's something to do with the weather at the moment. So I don't even know when it kind of broke up there, but we're back again anyway. So hopefully, is everybody good in the chat? Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't even know where I got to. Where did it cut off? Let me know where it cut off. I'm just going to keep on. I'll keep on making stuff, but I've just been moving. If you just kind of you miss some bits, then yeah, basically I've just been moving some of the bass notes around. I applied a groove to it as well. So yeah. Right, so I kind of got a groove going there with the keys. I'm actually going to change the preset up because I've just got the standard preset of the keys, and I'm just going to change this up now and have play around with it. By the way, if you like this plugin, this Velvet, I put a link to in the description below. So if you want to see, if you want to get that, then yeah, link is in the description. So it's called the Velvet VST by Air, and I use it all the time. Really love it. In fact, I've got a keyboard, like a mini kind of yeah, Yamaha keyboard. I showed this on the live stream before, but I kind of use this occasionally. So this is kind of a hardware kind of electronic keys, if the camera focuses. So yeah, I showed it in the last live stream, and I kind of have that plugged in sometimes when I want to use Rhodes keys. It is a fully manual one, even though I can hook it up by MIDI and USB and all that kind of stuff. But I like kind of playing stuff like manually on there just to kind of see what I can come up with. It's kind of nice to get away from the computer sometimes. So, so yeah, I'm going to go through some of these presets on here. That sounds so nice. A lot of chorus kind of within that. In fact, I'm not liking the bass line as much now. I like the keys. I might adjust this bass line so it hasn't got quite as much movement. I think I want a bit more skippiness in it, actually. Let's get I think I'm going to use one of these UK Garage kind of skippiness loops. Well, this is how I kind of make my sound. It's kind of a combination of old school house music, classic house, garage house, UK garage. There's a whole kind of load of influences going on within there, and that's kind of how my drums are kind of made up. So all the skippiness usually comes from kind of UK garage kind of stuff. I really like that loop. That's quite nice, but I don't want the snare that's within it. So I'm actually going to get rid of the snare that's within there because that's just... So what I'm going to do with this loop is I'm actually going to take out all the kind of key elements, I think. No, actually, no, I'll just take out the snare. Take out the snare because I don't really want that within there. It's kind of messing up my clap. Actually, I think it's a clap and a snare together, isn't it? Or maybe just a snare. I'm not sure. But I'm going to get rid of it. And rather than kind of drawing this envelope in for each single one of them, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the envelope. So I'm going to copy this whole region and just duplicate it across like that. Just get rid of that individual snare hit. Just a quick way of doing it. I'm going to cut some of the bottom end off of that as well because I don't like the way that the extra snare within there is hitting. That's better. Might cut a little bit off the top as well. Just a little bit off the top. I'm going to do some EQing, I think, and I'm going to take that bass. I'm actually going to bounce it out now because I want to start doing some stuff with it, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to bounce that out now so I can start using that. Just because I don't want to run it through the AS1 all this time. So I'm going to create a new audio track, set it to resampling. Arm it for record. And actually, I just want to make sure that I've got everything turned off within here. I've already got the LFO tool, so it's already ducking. So the side chain is already on there. Got a Neutron 3 within there, which I don't need at the moment. I want to take the start off of that bass as well. It's got a lot of attack to it. In fact, can I take it off on here? That's really interesting. wonder how that sounds with everything else. Oh no, it's kind of lost. Nah, keep it back to how it was. I thought taking the attack off of the front of that would kind of give it a bit more of a softer appeal, but it's kind of just losing something. So I'm going to record that into a new audio channel. And I'm actually going to keep the original notes within there and that bass track within there, and I'll just turn it off for now, just in case I need to come back to it a bit later. But the whole point of getting into audio is because I really want to start being able to work with this and knowing this is what it's going to be. Because the only problem with having external plugins and external synths is that they have a mind of their own sometimes. And I just kind of like to, by making it as audio, then I can just concentrate on that exact loop and just using that the best I can. So I'm going to loop that up. Increase the volume of it as well. And let's get the Neutron 3 on it. So the Neutron 3 I tend to use on my basses quite a bit because I love the way it goes through and it can analyze the bass and fix whatever it needs to fix. It's not a completely automated solution, but it gives you a really good starting point for how to kind of fix a bass. So it tends to add an exciter in there, and that doesn't always work for me. I think it almost changes the sound a bit too much, and I don't tend to use that very often, so I might turn that off. Yeah, I don't like that very much. Next up, it's equalizer. I'm going to take a bit of the bottom end off. It doesn't tend to take any of the bottom end off when you kind of run it through the mix assistant. So I'm actually going to take a bit of the bottom end off using a high pass. I think that'll do for now. The whole idea at the moment is I'm actually coming up with an idea more than anything, so I don't want to spend too much time tweaking it right now. I'll come back to it later and properly do the real mix and everything else like that. Put the LFO tool on it, which is my side chain, just to make sure that it pumps in time with the music, gets out of the way of the kick. And let's put that at the top. I'm going to put the bass that I'm not using at the top, just because it's out of the way then I don't need to worry about it. And I might actually just have a look at maybe putting... I'm still not keen on those keys. And you know what? I think I might just take it out. Yeah, I'm going to take the keys out. Let's find a sample. I like working with samples. Let's go for a sample. I'm going to browse. And the thing I love most about working with Splice is like searching via key. So if I go to instruments, search by keys. Well, I'm searching by keys, so I'm searching for pianos, but I also want to search by key. And we're working in C minor, so I'm going to put it in C minor. And yeah, I've got it on random here as well, which gives us a completely random selection of samples, and this can work really well actually. That is really, really nice. I like that. Just going to have that going throughout. Make this kind of a really kind of deeper idea, I think. Now, the only thing with Splice is the fact that the app is there, but you can't actually tab to it. Oh no, it's appearing now. Sometimes you can tab to it and sometimes you can't do. So I'm going to drag and drop that into here. Now I could load this into an instrument. And do I want to do that here? Yeah, I might load it into an instrument actually, rather than doing it there. Sometimes I work with audio and I like working with audio, but with this, I kind of want to have it looping nicely, and I can do that with a sampler a lot easier. So I'm creating a new MIDI channel within here, and then I'm going to open up the plugin bar at the bottom here. Where's my Splice app? There we go. I'm going to drag and drop that into here, so it will create a new simpler. So I can now play it on my MIDI keyboard. Play it up an octave. Sounds a bit weird when you play it up the notes, then up the semitones. I wonder if warping helps. Yeah, not sure about that. But anyway, that's not kind of what I'm doing with this. The reason I've loaded it into this sampler is because if I hold this, like if I hold down the C, for example, you can obviously see that the note will end at some point. So what I want to do is I want to loop this up so it kind of infinitely loops. So I'm going to activate loop within here, and then I'll start of the loop around about here. The length, I'm trying to remember how I do this now. And set the length of the loop here, and then I'm going to fade it. So now when I play it, actually no, it's not the start, is it? The loop length. I can never remember with these controls which is which. There we go. So it's now going to infinitely loop, and the reason I'm using the fade is to kind of fade it so that when it does loop, it doesn't kind of chop in any way, because it can chop. Yeah, so you can hear a kind of a clip there, and by turning the fade up, we've got this infinitely looping kind of organ sound, which is going to work really nicely because I want to just be able to play it constantly within here. So where's that MIDI clip come from? Go away. Let's create a new MIDI clip within here. I'm going to put a held note going through here. Just do it on C3 because that's the original sample. In fact, we could even, I wonder if we can play some. Oh yes, like that. Let's hit the capture. Hopefully the capture's got that. Hey, there we go. I love capture. I should use it more, really. It's fantastic for capturing those ideas when you forget to hit record. So good. I'm probably going to still edit this up and stuff, and I could have put that in on, to be honest, I could have easily put that in on a MIDI clip, but it just makes it so easy. Right, I'm going to quantize that. Quantize this as well. And then I'll put a chop in there. So we just got those two notes there. Consolidate it, loop it. Oh yeah, there we go. See, sometimes it just takes something like that to kind of really start turning a project around. Um, and next up, I'm actually going to take that same side chain that I've got on the LFO tool. I'm going to put that on the this kind of organ as well. Probably not going to be as extreme as the bass because I don't want it to duck as much. Mind you, that works. It almost gives it a more of a vibrato. It almost kind of pushes the vibrato of the organ to kind of fit with the track. Now I'm going to take it down a little bit more. I'm going to put an EQ on there as well. Should I put an EQ8? Or no, I'm going to put a neutron on there. I tend to put neutron on things that are a bit more complex, a little bit kind of harder to EQ. I tend to use the mix assistant within Neutron to kind of give me a head start of how to mix something. So when it comes to keys, where you've got like loads of resonant frequencies that are a bit all over the place, it kind of gives you some starting points for how to kind of fix them. Although it actually looks pretty good at the moment, but I'm going to still run it through the mix assistant just in case. Can you hear that? It's got the exciter is on it so much that it's kind of almost going to giving it like a cabinet effect, almost like a distortion of some sort. I'm wondering whether I like that or not. Nah, I don't like it. It just sounds a bit odd. We can see there's only really subtle EQ changes actually. Just taking a little bit of the bottom end out. Now from here, I probably would, it depends really. If I still hear something that's not quite right within here, then I might add another EQ band, maybe to get rid of it. I'm not listening. So I'm coming up, this is the idea phase. I'm not really kind of getting into too much of the fine detail. This will probably come a bit later on when I'm kind of really doing the final mix, or I've got the arrangement working right, because I do tend to work as quick as I can in here. Now, this idea is taking me longer than it would normally because I'm obviously explaining everything as I'm going on the live stream. But this idea would be done within about an hour. I'd be like, yeah, that's enough for that idea. I'm going to move on to the next one. But because obviously I'm answering questions and things like that, it's just taking a little bit longer. So yeah, at this stage, I really wouldn't be spending that much time kind of EQing it. It wouldn't be until the next stage where I kind of take all the ideas and then start mapping them out. Because if you're coming up with an idea and you spend half an hour or an hour working on the kick drum or making it a certain kind of thing, then you've wasted that amount of time. And like sometimes when I'm in a creative kind of mindset, I just want to get on with that idea as quickly as possible. So really kind of getting all that stuff in there roughly, see if it works. If it doesn't, chuck it away. And then when I've kind of got something that kind of is starting to work, then I can kind of just save it and then move on to the next thing. And then when I come back later, I can then start really getting into the nitty gritty of what needs doing and stuff. So yeah, I think for now, I don't need to kind of work on that anymore. I think that's going to be okay for now. Actually, I'm going to take a second just to go back to the live chat, just to make sure that like you guys are seeing how you guys are doing. Got 14 people tuned in at the moment. Hold on, I've got some questions. I got Red. Hi, Red. How you doing? So what have you got? Sorry, I'm trying to scrolling through all the questions and stuff. Do I turn snap off on the sampler? That is. So snap. Sometimes I will turn snap off. It just depends on what the sample is, whether I need to turn it off or not. It's just a case of listening to it, and if it does need turning off, turn it off. So AMB asks, "Do I do requests?" Is this are you asking me to play a song? Is this like yeah? I'm guessing you mean like for tutorials, perhaps, like for of things you want to learn. On this stream, not today. I'm just kind of coming up with some ideas in the studio. This is literally the ideas that I'm coming up with tracks for this year. So I'm kind of sitting down to write a whole load of different tracks, and this is kind of one of those ideas. So this is kind of the idea of this stream, is just to kind of give you an insight of how I work, what my day's like. Um, but as I did mention earlier, I'm going to be doing. I've just started up a new Patreon page. So I am going to be doing. So anybody who wants to become a Patreon of mine can join that, and I'm going to be doing some live streams for them, Q&A live streams, where if you want to know something, then I'll answer it live on the live stream. I'll make whatever it is live, and you can kind of see there. But yeah, that's going to be coming. It's going to be coming a little bit later. Oh, okay. Sorry, I misread that. So that's actually Medley. Hi, Medley. How you doing? It's quite nice to actually see all these people on the live stream. I kind of do this live stream in the middle of the day because this is kind of when I'm producing. I'm kind of, for me, it is a job. So I kind of, when the day starts, I'll start in the studio about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll be making ideas all the way through the day. I don't tend to work that late in the studio. It mostly is a daytime kind of thing. So this is why I've just literally put the live stream on at 12. I thought, put it on at 12. Most people are going to be around about 12, and I'll do it for a couple of hours. That's one thing, actually. Whoever's on the live stream at the moment, what kind of time would be best for these live streams? That's what I really want to know. If you're watching this live stream back, if you're watching it now in live, like what kind of time would be best for me to do these live streams? When would you like to see them? I mean, as I say, I do kind of work in the studio all day. So UK time, I'm in here from 10 o'clock through till 6 p.m. probably. So I can do a live stream anytime in that kind of time. But if you guys want it, if you're asking for it, then I'll try and do some evening ones as well if you want to kind of see those. So yeah. Lorient has messaged in. He's leaving a comment. He said, "Try the RC20 on the organ. Try RC20. RC20, is that a plugin? Is that another organ?" I've got to Google that because I'm not quite sure if I know what the RC20. Oh, it's the RC20, the coloring thing, the coloring plugin. Yes, retro color. Yep. So I have heard of this, and I swear to God, I was literally just going to buy this and try this out. Well, in fact, there's a free trial on there. I might actually, yeah. Let's give that a go. Let's give this a go. Let's go through here. Hopefully, I haven't got to put in my details. Got to download the online installer. Great. Yeah, let's go through and install this and have a go with this. Because I was literally going to use this plugin. I've been thinking about it. They've all got these online installers and stuff that you can install all their plugins. It's kind of the way of the world now. Let's give this a go then, shall we? Drag and drop it into your applications folder. Oh, I'm going to have to restart it, aren't I? Right, so let's go over to live. I haven't saved this idea. How bad's that? I haven't saved this idea. Sorry, if you just saw then, I've actually got I did a project the other day where I was actually doing the intro to some wrestler's intro thing. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what the idea was, but yeah, that was one of the projects I was working on the other day. What should we call this one? I don't even know what to call this. Call it organ thing. I'm going to call it organ thing. Because I need to close this down before I can obviously install the other plugin. It's going to wear away. Let's go to applications. What was the thing I just installed? XLN. Let's go for this then. Now, I don't want you to see this. Not that you'll be able to see this, but... right, so... Oh, got to create an account. Why does everything need an account these days? Oh, you know what? I'm not going to bother. I'll try it out later. I'll come back later and I'll go through and I'll register and do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's the retro color is a plugin that I have been looking at. So yeah, it's something I'm definitely. I was actually going to review it on the channel. I was thinking of reviewing it on the channel, having a go with it. It does look really kind of cool. I think the main reason I haven't actually kind of looked at that is because I tend to use the Electron Heat. So the Electron Heat is kind of my saturator, and that's where a lot of my kind of sound comes from. So this the Electron Heat I tend to run on the master channel, so I tend to run everything through that. But occasionally, what I will do is I'll actually route an individual instrument through it and kind of just get the kind of sound that I want out of it. Now that means I can't use it on the master channel, so what I tend to do is I'll run something through it, save it out, bounce it out, and then use it on the master channel. So, but the Electron Analog Heat, which I think there's a new version actually now. This is the old version. I got the Mark 1 Electron Analog Heat. This thing is just lush because you can't quite see it over there next to me on my desk. Yeah, this is the actual thing, and it's just it's a bit of hardware that has all these kind of analog circuitry in it, and it has all these different saturation options. I wonder if they got the dial here. I can show you the dial. Oh, they got bags. I don't know why I want a bag. Why do I want a bag? I want a bag. It's annoying, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, this main control round here has these 8 different types, different characters they're called. And yeah, they've got a whole load of different kind of models, but different analog models that kind of saturate your sound in different ways. I tend to just use the saturation quite a bit, but if you go for something like the classic distortion model, it's really kind of gnarly. It has some really interesting stuff. You put that on drums, it's very, very cool. But yeah, I absolutely love that. I bought that a while ago because I was kind of fed up with the fact that I work all in the box. Everything Ableton is within the box, and sometimes that can just sound so clinical and so clean, and I wanted something that could kind of dirty it up. And there's only so far you can get with software plugins. I mean, some of them are really good, and that RC20 is probably a really good plugin. I don't know, was it that Lorient said? Yeah, so Lauren, have you tried that plugin? Let me know what you think of that plugin. Yeah, there's only so far I think you can go with saturation plugins, and I kind of wanted something that was replicating an analog kind of chain. Now I don't have any kind of analog compressors in the studio or anything else like that. I've been tempted to do it, but I wanted something like that to run everything through to make my sound a little bit less clean, and the Analog Heat really does that. Now you can actually use it as a plugin. So if I go to where is it? Electron. So you can actually use it as a plugin within here. So I could actually put it on this bass, and it has a really kind of cool interface. The only problem is that I found you have to use it via USB when you're doing this, and for some reason it crackles so much with my computer. I think it might be the fact that I'm running a MacBook, and when I was plugging it into any of the USB sockets, it was crackling and it was having some real issues. So yeah, it just wasn't working great through USB, which is why I don't use the actual plugin form. I tend to use it literally. It's wired in, so basically I've got an output going from my sound card to the Analog Heat, and then output from there back into my sound card again. So when it comes to my master channel, which I'll show you here, I don't actually have anything on my master channel for my templates, but when it comes to it, I'll then drop this external effect. So this external effect actually sends audio to the Analog Heat, and then it comes back from the Analog Heat in through inputs 5 and 6. And that's basically how I kind of do it. So I kind of just turn this on and off when I want to hear the difference. I could actually play it back so you can hear what it sounds like. But you're probably not going to be able to hear it too well. It's a real kind of subtle kind of sound. Oh, I've still got the Analog Heat on now. That's why the bass isn't working. does come in a bit quieter, actually. I might need to turn that up. So that is on the saturation preset. I'll show you a few other presets, but it might actually just blow everything, I think. So I'm going to go through and try some of those. So as you can hear there's just some really wide range of different kind of really nasty distortion that can go on with there. But as I say, I use it on this kind of saturation preset, which is a really kind of subtle one. And yeah, it's just, in fact, I don't very rarely change the actual settings on it because it just kind of works. So yeah, I usually put that on. I don't put it on at this stage. Usually when I'm kind of coming up with ideas, I don't usually put it on this stage. But once I've kind of done my initial kind of, arrangement and I'm kind of getting into a kind of mixing kind of phase, that's when I'll then put it on there. Because I want to make sure that whatever's in here sounds good first. So yeah, Laurent, you said you like that kind of plugin. Yeah, I'll definitely try it out for the next live stream. I might even do a video on it. I'll give it a play around with it. It's definitely on my to-do list of things that I need to kind of have a play around with. So, right. So we have this. We have the organ in here now, and this is working really nice. In fact, I kind of want to. I'm going to put some effects on the drums now, and just the tops, I think. So my tops actually have a whole load of stuff set up on my template. So I have the saturator down here, which is just on its default kind of settings, and I tend to just put a bit of drive into it and turn down the output. And in fact, what I might do today is I want something a bit more grimy, so I might actually put the D16 Decimort on it. I really like the Decimort. The Decimort's really kind of cool. I have a reverb within here, which I tend to use for automation. I'm going to delete that for now. Actually, I don't need that. And I'm going to put some try some presets out on Decimort. Tell you what, I love this plugin and I love some of the presets in it, but when it comes to the dry wet, it just kind of really phases the drums. So even though you want to take out maybe you want to kind of take out some of that distortedness, you just can't really kind of do it because it just ends up just phasing the drums a bit. Okay, that's sounding quite cool. I think, you know what? I think it might be the kick that's not working quite within here. I might actually change the kick out for something else. There we go, that works. Yeah, I just need to change out the kick. Sometimes it's just you go through making a whole track, even when you get to the arrangement and mixing stage, and you're like, something's not quite right here. Sometimes it's the kick. Like, honestly, it happens all the time for me. So you got so I got a question in here from Lorient, is asking, do I only have the KRKs, so the KRK monitors here, or do I have a sub as well? I used to have a sub. I think I answered this in the last stream. I used to have a sub, but I found myself not using it at all. Like, I bought it because I thought, well, these are not giving me the bass response that I want to. But when I had the sub, I don't know. It's just something. My mixes weren't as good. I was listening to it and my mixes weren't as good. So I ended up turning the sub off quite a bit because I wanted to hear what it was like without the sub. And then the more I did that, the less and less I used the sub. And then I kind of got used to the KRKs and how they sound. And I think as long as you kind of reference tracks when you're kind of making them, you're referencing other tracks, other produced tracks. You get an idea for what sounds good coming out your speakers. So as long as you're kind of matching it to that and you're kind of figuring out how to make your tracks sound good through the speakers that you've got, then whether you have a sub or not, it doesn't matter too much. And also the KRKs are really subby anyway. It's not like having the Yamahas or anything else like that. The Yamahas are really kind of flat. Got a very flat response. So, you get a better result out of them. But for me, KRKs have always been really good for me, and I love using them. I've just got used to them over all these years. I wouldn't necessarily always say I'd recommend it to somebody else because speakers are very personal to you and what you think sound good. But for me, I really love the KRK so much so this is my second set, and I'm sure that probably when they release the next generation, I'll get that as well. So yeah, I love the sound that comes out of them. So no subwoofer within that. Red's asking, have you tried using Ableton's vocoder on the hi-hats? You get some amazing sounds from the tops and hats. I've not, to be honest, I've very rarely used the vocoder. The vocoder within Ableton I've kind of used once or twice and I've played around with it, but it's one of those things I'd never really kind of reached for. It's one of those things I just don't even think about because doesn't really figure into my kind of sound. But I'm all up for misusing stuff. I love misusing stuff, like playing around with things and seeing what you can come up with. I absolutely love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do when it comes to producing. It's just finding different ways to use things, and that's kind of that's my whole music career. That's how I've learned everything, just through misusing stuff and just playing around, and maybe dumb luck, maybe a bit of dumb luck and trying hard. So I'm gonna get some vocals in here now because I think I want vocals. I want something. Maybe sax. Maybe sax might go good. Yeah, let's get some sax. So I'm gonna go for brass. And again, we're going in C minor, because I want to make sure that it fits in. Could flute work? I don't know. It's kind of a very jazzy feel with that kind of organ. So basically, I think what I'm looking for here is something a little bit more kind of staccato, I think. Because the organ sound is very kind of legato. It's very just it's just a held note. I want something that kind of gives everything a little bit more movement. So I think I'm looking for either with vocals or with some sax or brass sound of some sort. It needs to have something. So I don't think the trumpet works. I'm going to go for saxophone, I think. I don't even know if this works. Maybe I need to try something different. I just always reach for some brass. If you listen to any of my kind of tracks, you'll probably hear I use a lot of kind of brass, and most of it comes from Splice. Most of it kind of I find from within there, or old sample packs that I've got. I've got loads of old sample packs. No, I really don't think this is working. I think I'm going to have to look for some vocals, maybe. Actually, I almost want like a kind of chanty kind of vocal, maybe. Yeah, maybe a chant of some sort might be quite good. Can anybody kind of get the same kind of vibe that I'm kind of thinking of? We've got this kind of... It's the organs in there, and it's kind of this rolling kind of vibe. I kind of want like an African chant kind of thing going on, I think. I can kind of hear something like that in my head. Almost on cue. That is kind of almost what I'm looking for. It's only the first one that I found, but it might work. And that's from it's a pop sample pack, which is great because if I put this out as a house track, I don't think anybody's gonna be looking in a pop sample pack. So it's gonna be quite interesting. I don't think many people have used this one. Let's see how that sounds. And interestingly, it's the original BPM of this is it's marked down as it looks like 113 BPM, but it seems to fit already well with it. So maybe I'm just using it in a different timing. So I'm not going to oh, actually, it already has rewarped it. I'm going to unwarp it for now. And I might need to rewarp it at a different speed. By default, obviously, when you drag or drop something into Ableton, it will kind of warp it to what it thinks it is, and it actually did detect it was 113 BPM. But I kind of, when I'm playing stuff back through Splice, like I'm playing it from the browser, I'm not playing it in time. Unlike like Loop Cloud from Loop Masters, where it kind of every kind of sound that you audition, it plays it in time with the track. Obviously, it's not doing it from within here, but doing it this way sometimes gives me those ideas. It's weird, like by not being able to do something, I'm thinking of the other ways of doing it. So I'm playing back a sample that is at 93 BPM, for example, and my track's 120. But by playing it back at the original speed, I'm kind of getting other ideas of how I could fit it in, rather than just scaling it up in BPM. Sometimes it just works. And that's kind of the nice thing about kind of cutting up vocals. So let's see how this works. Take it down in volume. Just now I've got to try and find that right hook. I think that's where it starts. I think that right there, that's when it's, I don't know. Actually, no, that part there. Sorry, it's really hard. This is what's going on within my head at the moment, is the fact that that part there is sounding in time. That's the kind of the groove that I want. Now I've just got to try and figure out how to actually get that with everything else. It's going to get a bit annoying, actually, isn't it, when it's kind of just playing back? But let's hear how that sounds looped up. Oh, it's annoying. It's annoying. It's the right sample. It feels like it's the right sample, but it's just too repetitive. No. See, that's the most frustrating thing. You find a sample that you think is going to be the one, and it just, you get it in there and it just doesn't quite work. Let's try something else. Try a different sample. So that's it. There's 22 matching samples there. That's it. What I can do, though, and what I did talk about in the last stream is that, and I think it was actually on one of my other videos, is I tend to also search like maybe 3 semitones up for vocals and then pitch them down. So 1, 2, 3. Do it as D sharp. I might find something there. Seriously, this sample pack has just got the same sample just with the whole load of effects on. Surely that's not right. That's just filling out a sample pack. So I'm going to do something now that I don't normally do, and I'm actually going to turn the key off of vocals and see if I can just find an idea and then maybe pitch it from there, because it's not quite finding everything I want. Actually, I think I do have a sample in my likes that might work. I tend to I'll go through Splice on sometimes, and I'll kind of look at new sample packs, and then I'll listen to samples and kind of mark them as likes for later on. So you can go and you can heart any sample on Splice, and it adds them to your likes list, like a favorites kind of almost thing. And it kind of, I find it a good way to kind of look through here, get ideas, and then come back to them a bit later. So I'm going to filter this by vocals. So you can actually filter this and do this exactly the same as you would for all your other browsing. I'm going to listen to some of these. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, so there's this one here, which is in D, and I could drop it down a couple of semitones. See, it should be in somewhere. I think I've already downloaded it, so it's within here somewhere. It's called Brazil. Oh, there we go. Let's drop that into live. One day they're actually going to make a plugin that works, that's just within Ableton. That'd be amazing. Let's start there. Take it down a couple of semitones. See, it just doesn't kind of work. So the usual rule that I go by is searching up 3 semitones, then pitching down 3 semitones, and that usually works quite well. Do I have any chant? Maybe I've got something on my hard drive here somewhere. I'll type in chant, maybe. No, that's not going to work either. Oh, well, we tried. I'm just going to search for normal vocals then. I'll get rid of chant out of here. Let's have a look for vocals in the key of C minor. I'll have it on random as well. I kind of like that. I wonder if there's a slightly different version of that as well. So I'm going to like that and download that. Let's click through to the sample pack and see. What's that one called? Hotline Vocal Run. So you can go into the individual sample packs and then filter within here. And I'm going to order it by file name, and hopefully I might be able to find some other variations. Yes, can use that, a bit of that. And what I tend to do is I'll go into a sample pack like this and I'll kind of find a few different samples from within here and then kind of cut them up. So I'll use parts of each. And the great, I mean, you can see up here that I've got 850 credits here in samples. It's ridiculous. No matter how many samples I end up downloading from Splice, I always end up still with loads of credits within here. I never end up using them all. It must be absolutely exhausting being a vocalist coming up with all these different variations. Anyway, I'll come back to that a bit later. I've got the idea in my head now with this one. So let's go back to here. Yeah, so I'm going to use, this is the main one, I think. Then a bit of this one as well. And a bit of this. Now I'm putting them all onto the same track. Well, probably not the best idea, but actually, yeah, I'm going to put it on separate tracks. That's stupid, isn't it? Why don't I put it on the same track? And I was auditioning them, obviously not in time with the tracks, so I don't know whether it'll warp them and it'll make them quicker now. Yeah, it's making it too quick. So I'm going to unwarp these. See, it sounds almost better at that speed. In fact, it's a little bit too fast now. So I'm going to warp it. I'm going to drag it out a bit, I think. Drag it out. And we got this one as well. I'm going to unwarp that one. Oh, not that one. Soloed the wrong one. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this end part of this one. So I've got this bit here. Those final 3 notes I'm going to use again here. I'm just going to use the front part of this. Something like this. I'm going to drag that out because that's a bit too fast. Ooh. Sorry, you'll see what I'm doing in a bit, hopefully. I'm just talking a whole load of stuff. So the idea is to then... trying to merge these two in together somehow. So you got this almost kind of variation going on here. It's not quite right. Not quite what I was thinking. Oh, that's better. Yeah. And this is where I probably use the third one we got here. Just going to deactivate that one and deactivate that one just to unwarp it. Maybe that's a bit too much. almost there, isn't it? It's not perfect. I'm really kind of playing around with the idea at the moment. I'm really just playing around with the timings, trying to get those notes to sit right. Right, just to make it sound a little bit better with the track, I'm going to group all those vocals I've just got together, and I'm going to group it in one group, and then I can start putting the effects onto that. So I'm going to start by putting an EQ8 on it. EQ a bit at the bottom end off. So yeah, a bit of EQ8 on there. I've gone for a rather kind of extreme curve there on the EQ8, just to kind of give a bit more of it, just accentuate those kind of higher ends, almost make it a little bit more speaker-like, you know, kind of lo-fi kind of sound. Bit of reverb on there, on the actual channel itself, because I want the reverb on there to then saturate that reverb. I want this kind of almost to sound like I'm taking it, like I'm ripping it off of an old a cappella or something like that. So the acapella would already have a reverb on it, which is why I've got it on the actual channel. I might actually put the decimal on this one as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of working now. That's kind of working all right. It's not perfect. It if anything, it almost feels like it's the kind of guide for a vocalist that I might get in for it. If I was kind of redoing it, I suppose if I work on it a bit more, maybe if I jump into that sample pack, because there was a whole load more samples within here that I could probably look through, and there might be some of the stuff in here that I could find. I'm actually going to like this sample pack, but I'll actually know a bit later. I can come back to a bit later, because obviously I can right click on any of these and show in browser, and it'll show me what the name of the sample pack is, so I can always come back to it a little bit later. So yeah, when I'm kind of come back to this idea, it might just work all right. So yeah, I think that's enough for this idea. I don't want to work on it anymore. I'm to be honest, getting a little bit fed up with it. Yeah, I'm stuck a little bit on that at the moment, so I'm just going to leave it there and just save it and then move on to the next one, because yeah, that's just not yeah, I think if I listen to it anymore, I'm just not going to like it anymore. So yeah, I'm going to ditch that one there. I'm going to click save and then move on to the next one. So I hit file, new, and start a new idea. And this is kind of what I'm doing. I'm just aiming to build this folder up. Where is it? So I've got a 2020 ideas folder here, which has got all of the different projects that I'm going to work on, and you know, just trying to come up with some ideas for this tracks for this year. Is there any more questions on the this live stream? So Red asked, does the heat have the same effects as some of the other electron stuff, such as machine drum? The heat is really just what it is. It's just a saturator. I don't think. No, I'm pretty sure. No, it doesn't have any effects on it. I mean, it is an effect itself. It has like saturation. You have an EQ on there. You have a filter on there as well, so you can start filtering things out. It's all about kind of saturating sound. So it's not really going to have anything else on there. It's not really kind of an instrument as such. So yeah, it is kind of what it is. But it's a great piece of hardware. Is everybody having a good time on the stream? Are you learning something? Is there anything interesting on this? You know, feel free to to drop a comment in the live feed. I'm happy to answer it. What we've been going for 2 hours 20 now. Should we go for another 40 minutes? Do it a 3-hour stream. If you're getting something out of it, I'll keep doing it. Just let me know in the chat. Drop a message in the chat if you want to say hello, or if you got any questions or anything else like that. So yeah, so we've got 40 minutes. Let's cut it at 3 p.m. do a 3-hour stream, and I'm going to come up with this next idea in 40 minutes. So I'm going to do a really quick idea. So this one I won't talk through as much. That might be a blessing to some of you. Some of you probably. So do you like it more when I'm kind of explaining stuff, or when I'm kind of when I'm just doing stuff? You'll have to let me know, because I can always kind of change my approach. Some people hate like me chatting all the time. Some people love it. So it's one of those things. Right, so quick idea in 40 minutes. Where can I start from? I'm going to start from Splice. So I started, because the last idea I started by getting some getting stuff off the AS1. So this one I'm going to go from Splice. I'm going to go to my likes folder here, because I've got a whole load of stuff in here that I have liked. The vocals, mostly vocals, I think. See if there's anything within here that I could try an idea with. So yeah, I've got this piano here. I'm gonna use this as a basis for something. I don't think I've used it before. It's pop ballad sad. Let's do this. I'm gonna try and make this interesting. Let's try and make this a not sad ballad, and let's make it into a house track. I'm just gonna there you go. I've only got one sample in my collection labeled as sad. That's good. I don't want anything too sad. I'm not going to need the keys layer for this, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to close up some of these drum samples for now. I really need to tweak this template, because for the most part it's working, but I really need some empty audio tracks in here just for samples, I think. So I'm going to drop this in here, and what I'm going to do is rather than actually trying to cut this audio up, I'm going to do a slice to MIDI. So let's click into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a warp marker on every piano note. Yeah, so I'm going to put one there, one there, one there. You can kind of see in the waveform where the notes are. And I'm probably not going to do all of these, I don't think. Mainly because I get a bit bored. Just going through here and doing this. There is the option to warp from transients, and which, if you can, I don't think you'll be able to see in this live stream, but it's these tiny little lines in here, and there's loads of those, so I don't really want to do that. I just want to do it by the main notes within here. Is that the whole of the sample? Yeah, so we got that within there. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on here, go to, where is it? Slice to MIDI track? Yeah, slice to new MIDI track. No matter how many times I look at these menus, I still lose things all the time. I'm going to do it by warp marker. Okay. So now I don't need that anymore. And I have the same thing here in MIDI now. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through each one of these now and turn warp off. As I mentioned in the last stream, there's no way to kind of do this for every single one of them. Or if I haven't found it at least anyway. If you find it, please tell me. It will save my sanity. So I'm going to go through every one of these slices and turn off warp. Now, why am I turning off warp? Well, warping obviously is kind of something you do to keep things in time. Whereas I'm going to be playing these back. I'm going to be kind of playing these back with the MIDI controller, I think, to kind of put a different timing in with it. So I'm not concerned with having these notes as long as they are, because I'm probably going to be playing them quite short. So that's why I'm turning warp off. And if you, I did a very similar idea in the last live stream, so check that out if you want to. That's got, I'm going to do, I think that's it. Got one more, and then we're good. And get rid of that MIDI clip because I don't want that anymore. And now hopefully everything should work now on here. Just find the right notes on my keyboard. I'm going to put a little bit of a release on there. And what I'm going to also do is I'm going to put a velocity on the channel before then. I'm going to put it as a fixed velocity because I'm rubbish at playing these and I haven't turned it off. Yeah, I do velocity all over the place, so it's clipping a little bit on some of these. There are some nice notes in here and some not very nice notes. Oh, it's so annoying. There's a few really nice ones in there, but I can't find a third or a fourth. Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a funny one. Might have to just work with those two then. Right, kick. That kick in. And I'm going to put a very simple 909 pattern in. Sometimes I put the 909 pattern in just so I got something to go with. Clap. I should really just tweak this kit that I've got so I can then reuse it again. That'd probably be a good idea. Put a hi-hat in there, an open hat in there. Shorten both of those. Definitely the open hat, don't want that. fact, I'm going to get rid of that. I don't want that hat. Let's find a hat from within here. Put it on loop, Richie. Come on. Going to put that in for now. It's not the right hat, but it's something. I just need something in there now just to get an idea. Something like that, something along those lines. I played that dodgy note at the end there because I want to I'm going to use that to kind of find another note in there that I can use. I'm going to move it around. I know I want that timing. It's just not quite the right note. Let's quantize that. This is really annoying already. Just can't find that right note. Oh, something not quite right. Next up, I'm going to change the velocity. Actually, I'm going to remove this fixed velocity because I was really only using that to kind of get the notes in there. Because I have trouble trying to keep that same velocity throughout. And now I'm going to use the velocity to kind of adjust the volume level. So. It's getting there, but it's not quite right. I'm going to put an LFO over the top of it, see if I can, that a really kind of harsh side chaining would actually kind of give it something. Maybe if I filter it, actually filtering it might work quite nicely. Auto filter, high pass filter on it. No, low pass filter, sorry. And I'm going to put a decimal on it as well. Make it sound really old school, kind of old school feel. Almost like I'm kind of literally taking it out of an old school sampler. Like I'm chopping it up in a really, really harsh way. Just wondering if there's like an MPC kind of MPC 60. It's got some really harsh notes in there. I might have to run a I'm going to put an EQ, not an EQ. Let's put a neutron EQ on there, I think. So I really want to kind of, there's some real kind of harsh frequencies that are coming out of that decimal. That one's horrible. Let's get rid of that. Actually, it's being affected before it goes into the decimal. That's why it's... So if I put the EQ before there... That's the one. Yes. So there was a resonant frequency going into the decimal, which made it distort. So putting the EQ before the decimal is probably the better idea. You'll also notice that I put it in dynamic mode as well. Which is basically, it's kind of using this, it will only take so much out of that frequency when it hits past a certain threshold, which is a really cool feature of this Neutron EQ. I'm sure it's in a whole load of other EQs and stuff, but I love the isotope stuff. I think it's really cool. It's kind of, you can see it almost like this is how much it would be cutting out if it wasn't dynamic, but you'll see this little kind of this moving bit here. That's how much it's taking out that specific frequency. It means that you can still have that frequency coming through at a normal volume, like a low volume, but when it starts hitting too much, then it will kind of decrease that more. Say it's like multi-band compression. I'm really not technical. I'm really not technical. I should really know more of this stuff, but I just do it enough to be able to use it. Like, if that's the whole thing with how I produce, is that I am all about trying stuff and playing around with stuff. I'm not a technical person. I never did any courses or anything else like that. I just play around with stuff in a very kind of creative way to figure out what I can get out of it. And then, I pick stuff up over the years, so it's not like I don't know nothing. It's just one of those things. I kind of I play around with things. Try not to stick to too many rules. I'm going to leave that piano for now and get some tops loop in. So I want to try this idea. The whole idea is supposed to be really quick. I'm going to use that top loop in there. I'm going to push it really low in the mix. So I'm going to mix from the ground up. I'm going to take the volume all the way down and then gradually increase it. So it's really, really quiet in the mix, just something really subtle in the background. Right, let's have a look at bass. Now, let's see, what's this sample? What is this sample in? Didn't even have a look to see what this sample is. What key this sample's in. C minor again. We're working again in C minor. I swear I'm not picking out C minor. Did I have my filters by C minor? No, I didn't. Why am I weird? That last 2 or 3 ideas have been in C minor. I could pitch this down though. Nah, let's leave it for now. Let's go for C minor with the bass. So I've got a scale plugin in here, so that'll keep me within the scale. I'm going to jump into the instruments within Ableton because some of these are really, really good. Like if you get the packs, the Ableton packs, some of these presets are really cool. I'm going to load that one up. Oh, wrong channel. Oh, yeah. See, how good is that? Like, if you're not checking out Ableton packs, you need to kind of be doing it because they got some really awesome sounds in it. Straight off, lush, really nice. And I've got nothing on that at all. There's a neutron here, but it's nothing programmed into it. I might actually just copy the same notes over. They're going to be weird. Yeah, they're weird. But let's move up to C3. No, down an octave. Down another octave. Why does that sound weird? No, that's not a good idea. Let's play it in. I'm going to play some in. Let's use the capture and see if that worked. So there's only just those last two notes in there, mainly because I couldn't really decide what direction I'm going for with the rest of it. But maybe I can come up with something from that. It's kind of obvious what I'm going for there. This is sounding a lot more musical than I thought it was going to do. Okay, I think I've got the notes there just through dumb luck. It's weird. I'm doing this nice kind of stabby kind of bass line, almost like a old school kind of funky house kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of this. It's weird. It's kind of got this old school funky house vibe going on, I think. In fact, it almost feels like kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a Daft Punky thing. In fact, let's get rid of the drums for a second. See, once you kind of got the musical elements in, then it almost kind of time to revisit the drums and stuff. Might change the kick out. See how this sounds. Oh God, that's a bit too much. I think that the 909's too happy, too bright. I'm going to revisit the drums now. In fact, I'm going to jump into some other sample packs maybe. Mad Villain sample pack is awesome. Let's see what's in here. Might just use that clap. Clap's quite handy. I want something really kind of rough and ready. Actually, we were talking about it earlier. Let's jump into the 90s Deep House and Garage Pack from Sample Magic. This one's a really nice one. Well, we've got 12 minutes left. I feel like there should be some kind of timer at the top. It's not quite working for what I want for this one. What other packs do I have that might work? I want something that's kind of not tech house. East Coast house. That was quite a good one. Okay. Kind of works. It's not really me, but it kind of works. Yeah, that one works. Let's get that one in there. I'm very conscious of time. 10 minutes left. Actually, I feel like I'm cheating doing that. That vocal's quite cool. But again, vocals in a top sleep. I don't know why it's in there. That's better. It's kind of a bit more of an old schooly kind of feel within there. I'm not going to spend any more time on the drums. I'll probably revisit that later, but I want to get an old school vocal in there, I think. See what's I've got some. So in my likes, I've got this. Where is it? Yeah, 90s diva house vocals. I haven't actually used anything from this so far, so I want to see if any of these work. Yeah, I like that one. That might work. It's in F, but it for some reason sounds all right. I'm going to start chopping it up a little bit, I think. Having a bit of a play around with. See what we get out of it.
Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you.
Again, it's detected it as too fast. That's why. 1, 2, 3.
Tell me what you wanna be. Let the music.
I just want that first bit.
Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what. Tell me what you want. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me. Tell me what. 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 Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you want. Tell me what. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me what. Tell me. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what. Tell me what.
It's not brilliant, but it's.
Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be.
Yeah. Not over. Not super happy with this vocal. I could use this on multiple channels, but I'm just being really lazy at the moment. Let's see how it sounds.
Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you wanna be. Tell me what you. Tell me what. Tell me what you want.
Yeah. Gradually liking it less and less the more I hear it.
Tell me what you. Tell me what. 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 Tell me what you. Tell me what.
Oh, I'm not really happy with that vocal. But I did say I was going to try and just spend another 10 minutes on it, and then, yeah. So I'm probably going to delete that vocal, to be honest. No. But yeah, so yeah, 10 minutes on no, was it 10 minutes? When did we start? Let's see. 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's 40 minutes on that idea. So that's not too bad. I spent a load of time on the piano getting that right and the bass and stuff like that. So it's one of those things, unless you're doing it for a challenge or a certain competition, then trying to do it in a certain amount of time, I don't think works. However, I just know when I get to a certain stage that I need to just save it and be done with it. So like I try and get through it as quickly as possible, whether it takes me half an hour, 2, 3 hours, or whatever it is. I try and get it done so it's at a stage where it's still an idea, not a track. So like I've really kind of got the basis for what I want from it, and then I come back to it a bit later and then work on it a bit more. So yeah, I'll save that off, and that'll be another idea that I'll probably tweak a bit later. Might spend a bit more time after the stream, maybe having a look at it. I like the piano in it. Doesn't really feel like me at the moment, but it may be one of these things where I'll come back to another day and I'll think it needs that, or it needs this, or maybe I'll find a sample somewhere when I'm looking through stuff and I'll be like, yeah, that worked really well. It's interestingly enough that like some of my biggest tracks, like I think one of my biggest tracks on Wartone Records, track called Everything, that actually started life. It was actually 2 different tracks. I had the vocal on one track, and then I had this kind of piano anthem as another track. And I did the piano anthem, and I was like, yeah, this is really working, but it's missing a vocal. And I had the other track with the vocal on it that had been sitting around for ages, and it just wasn't quite right. I knew the vocal was good, but the rest of the track was a bit crap. So I kind of went back to that track and I kind of stole that vocal out of it and put it into the new track, and it just kind of worked. And that's kind of the thing. I have a whole load of these ideas just sitting on my hard drive, and at some point I'll dip into one of these and I'll take that piano out of it or something, or the bass line out of it or something, and put it in something else. So that's not wasted. I will probably use that at some point. It's just finding the right angle for it. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today's stream. I'll just pop on the questions and see what's going on with it. So show me the lights. Thanks, mate. Thanks for joining. Desmond, hi. How you doing? Can you explain how you set up the audio for this stream? I hear no bleed when listening via the speakers. Desmond, I'll tell you what, mate. This took me so long to figure out. This is why, I mean, I've done streams on my channel before, but I was always kind of not happy with the setup for it. And it's taken me so long to figure it out. So basically, I have my streaming laptop, which is sat just to there, just to the right of this monitor. It has 2 sound sources going into it. So one sound source is the microphone going into one input, and then the other input is coming from the back of my Mackie big knob. So I have the Mackie big knob here. Hang on. There you go. I will figure out the zoom on these cameras. So yeah, I've got the Mackie big knob at the back of it here. There's an output going from that into my laptop, and then I have, and then basically it's side chaining. So every time, so rather than like the music ducking whenever my vocal is talking, I get it so that whenever the music is playing, the vocal ducks. So that way, ultimately, you can't hear me when the music's playing. So I have to wait, I have to turn the music down or stop the music, and then I can talk. But that does mean that when I'm playing music out, I hear it through my speakers, but it's not being picked up by the microphone because the microphone's being ducked. So yeah, it's sidechain basically. That's what's happening within the live stream. So it's just flipped around. And it took me so long to figure that out, because when you're producing and when you're doing stuff like this, when you're in these live streams, usually you'll have the live streamer with headphones on. And I don't know about you, I can produce for so long in headphones, but I need my speakers. And to be able to do this live stream for you properly, I need the speakers there so I can actually hear stuff out. So yeah, it took me a little while to figure it out. I think there's still some definite tweaks to be done on it. But yeah, it took me a little while to kind of figure that out, how I was going to do it. So yeah, it's a clever little setup, and I think it's working all right so far. So I think that's it. Is there any other questions? Has anybody got anything else that they want to ask or anything before I shut down for the day? I'm still going to keep working today. I've still got some more ideas that I'm working on and playing around with stuff. So after the stream, I'll probably be doing that kind of stuff. But I thought I'd kind of just call it a day for the stream now, because it's been 3 hours and I'm sure you guys have had enough. There's still 15 people tuned in though, so I'm quite happy with that, and I'm grateful for everybody that's tuned in so far on this live stream and for the last one. I'm going to try and do these live streams quite regularly, hopefully maybe every Tuesday. Probably it's working out quite well, so maybe every Tuesday from midday, 12 p.m. GMT. So I'll try and do it again next week. And actually, I'm looking for the permission. I'm just about to start a remix so a remix came in just yesterday, and what I'm trying to do is I'm kind of trying to get permission so that I can actually make the remix live on live stream. So maybe hopefully next week, next Tuesday, it will be me making the remix from scratch. So literally working from the parts that were given to me, and I'll talk through the whole process of me making the remix. So I thought that might be quite cool. But yeah, I'm waiting on the permission to see whether I can do that or not. So it might be good. It might be an interesting thing. So yeah, I think that's it. I want to say a big thank you for everybody who's tuned in. Everybody who's subscribed to my channel recently as well. A big thank you to everybody who's done that. I'm going to still be putting new videos out. I'm looking at doing another video for Thursday this week. I'm not quite sure what it is yet. But there will be another video hopefully going up on Thursday. A quick reminder that I've just launched a Patreon page. So if you want to support me, if you want to support my live stream and everything else I put out on this YouTube channel, then hit the link down below for my Patreon channel. If you're not sure about them, if you've never heard of that before, basically you can subscribe to my channel for a certain amount of money per month, and it will give you different perks and stuff. But it just helps, kind of fund my channel and the stuff that I'm doing on it. And if you gain something from it, then yeah, definitely subscribe to that. Consider doing it anyway. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to check out the Udemy course that I've just recently done as well, if you like my kind of tutorial stuff and the way I explain stuff, I've done a new course on making DJ edits, remixes, bootlegs, mashups and stuff like that, all in one course. There's, again, a link for that in the description. So, yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon.